I came home from the doctor expecting quiet. Not sympathy. Not care. Just quiet. The appointment had taken longer than it should have. Nothing catastrophic, which almost made it worse. At my age, doctors stop speaking in alarms and start speaking in adjustments. Less sodium. More monitoring. Watch the fatigue. Manage stress. Manage stress. I remember sitting in the parking lot afterward with the engine off, staring at those words on the paperwork like they belonged to someone else. By the time I pulled into the driveway, there were 2 extra cars parked outside my house. I noticed the bicycles first, then the plastic storage bins stacked near the garage, then the living room curtains moving with the quick, unfamiliar rhythm of children running through a place they already believed belonged to them. I stood at the front door longer than I should have. Inside, the smell had changed. Fried food, laundry detergent I didn't buy, noise from the television layered over multiple conversations. My wife, Dana, appeared from the kitchen carrying folded towels like she was in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. "Oh good, you're back," she said. "Try not to get upset." That sentence told me everything before she explained any of it. Her son Eric came around the corner next. Behind him, his wife sat on my couch helping one of the kids with homework. Nobody looked guilty enough. "They just need a place for a little while," Dana said quickly. "The lease situation turned ugly, and they need us. Just be patient. Need us. Not can they stay. Not what do you think?" By then, half the hallway closet had already been emptied onto the floor to make room for their coats. I looked at Dana for a long moment, waiting for the rest. Some acknowledgement that maybe this should have involved me before it involved luggage. Instead, she kept talking in that soft, managerial voice people use when they've already decided resistance is unreasonable. "It's temporary." Temporary is one of the most dangerous words in marriage. I learned that years ago. Temporary loans, temporary sacrifices, temporary rearrangements, temporary emotional accommodations that slowly harden into permanent expectations. I carried my overnight medical bag upstairs without another word. Nobody stopped me. That hurt more than I expected. Over the next few days, my house developed a strange rhythm that no longer included me naturally. Cabinets were reorganized because it made more sense this way. My chair in the living room slowly became occupied before dinner even started. The garage filled with Eric's tools and unopened boxes. Everyone remained polite. Politeness can hide an enormous amount of entitlement. Dana kept thanking me for understanding, even though I hadn't agreed to anything. One night I came downstairs and found Eric discussing internet upgrades with a technician on speakerphone. "For all of us," he said casually when he saw me standing there. All of us. Something inside me shifted quietly then. Not anger exactly. Recognition. I realized I had spent years confusing patience with love. Dana and I had been married 14 years. She used to tell people I was dependable, steady, calm under pressure. It sounded flattering until I understood what it really meant. I absorbed things. I absorbed expenses, family emergencies, her son's unfinished recoveries from bad decisions. I absorbed disappointments before they reached her. And because I rarely exploded, everyone assumed I could absorb indefinitely. A week after they moved in, I woke up at 2 a.m. and found myself sitting alone in my own kitchen, unable to remember the last decision about this house that had actually involved me equally. That realization sat heavier than the doctor's appointment. Dana came downstairs for water and saw me awake. "You're overthinking this," she said gently. I almost laughed. Overthinking, as if the problem was emotional excess instead of gradual erasure. "I needed peace, Dana. They're family. I'm your family too." She looked tired after that, not remorseful, just inconvenienced by the direction of the conversation. "We're helping them get back on their feet." I nodded slowly. The strange thing was, I believed she meant well. That made it harder, not easier. Cruelty would have simplified everything. Instead, this was built from assumptions, from years of her believing my flexibility had no limit. 3 mornings later, while the house was noisy with breakfast chaos, I stepped outside onto the patio with my coffee and made one phone call. Calmly, quietly, I called an attorney. Not because I wanted revenge, because I needed reality restored to the room. Years earlier, after my father died, I had placed the property into a protected inheritance trust on legal advice. Dana knew about it generally, but we never discussed details because there had never been conflicts serious enough to require them. Until now, the attorney recommended a housing mediator and formal occupancy clarification before the situation became emotionally irreversible. I agreed. I didn't tell anyone. For days later, 2 people arrived at the house just after noon. Dana opened the door smiling politely, assuming they were delivery workers. 20 minutes later, nobody was smiling. The mediator spoke gently, professionally, without accusation. The attorney explained the property structure, occupancy limitations, liability concerns, and consent requirements in clear language that removed emotion from the equation entirely. No one raised their voice, which somehow made it more brutal. Eric kept glancing at Dana like she was supposed to fix it. Dana looked at me instead, not angry, stunned, because for the first time in our marriage, I had handled something important, privately instead of emotionally. Negotiating myself into exhaustion first, the attorney eventually asked a simple question. Did Mr. Walker provide formal consent for indefinite residency arrangements? Silence filled the room so completely, I could hear one of the kids upstairs laughing at a cartoon. Dana finally understood then. Not the legal situation, me. She realized I had stopped trusting our conversations to protect me. That evening, after everyone retreated into separate corners of the house, she found me sitting at the kitchen table. You embarrassed me, she said quietly. I looked at her for a long time before answering. No, I said. I think reality embarrassed you. She sat down slowly. For once, neither of us rushed to fill the silence. I thought you'd eventually be okay with it, she admitted. That's the problem. Her eyes watered then, but only slightly. Not dramatic grief. Something smaller, harder. Recognition. The family began making arrangements to leave within the month. Nobody fought me openly after the meeting. The authority in the room had settled the practical part too clearly, but the emotional part stayed behind. The house eventually became quiet again. Quieter than before, actually. Because once you realize someone has mistaken your endurance for permission, every peaceful moment afterward feels different. Not victorious, just honest.